Hi, Michelle.
I'm Colleen. Hi.
We're back.
You're back. I miss Colleen. Haven't you missed Colleen, folks?
Oh, you're
Colleen's
so sweet.
back.
You're back. We're both back. We're here. We're here.
Here we are.
In the spring in Tennessee. Getting closer to session being wrapped.
Please.
I love that when we always start at the start of session, everyone's like, they're going to be done by March, and it never is. And it's just, then you get into a real slog in these last couple of weeks.
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
And people's pet bills, they want to get passed, and they're trading, because, this being an election year, right? There's money that's going to flow or not flow to folks who are running based upon votes on certain bills. So it's like
Wheelin and dealin.
It is wheelin and dealing.
Wheelin and dealing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Can only imagine what those backroom conversations are like.
True.
Okay, so this week, a lot of yucky stuff happening all the time. But I think today we were going to talk about, speaking of backdoor, I wanted to talk a little bit about a bill that, let me grab my note here, that it's Lamberth and Johnson on the Senate side, but specifically HB 2532, which is regarding the expansion of vouchers.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you wrote about it in your Substack, so I was hoping you could kind of enlighten all of us about what this bill does, and then also a real tricky backdoor amendment that we're seeing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So I think it might be better to start over on regarding the immigration bill.
Oh,
so I think
you're right,
and then come over
because that's how these two are
correct.
backdooring.
So for those of you who are following, for those of you who are not, you might want to follow. I tell people, if you are like a white-skinned person, your children are now going to have to prove under Lamberth's bill, right, which has to do with originally as it was passed in the Senate. You had to be able to provide data that you are here legally in this country, each child, which is a terrible thing. They're trying to get to the parents through the children. I mean, typical really bullying behavior. Despicable behavior, I would say, on the part of legislators to hold children ransom to get something that they want, which is data on the immigrants living in this state. They say it has to do with money. I'm like, well, actually, yeah, the root of all evil, right? I mean, it is about money for them. Ultimately, it really is about political points. It's about, the president's, Project 2025. It's about just getting rid of people who don't look and talk and speak like you. So
right.
That's what it's about. But
ultimately, this is the bill, too, that we have been talking about all
Thank
session,
you. That
ultimately we think they want to overturn Plyler v. Doe.
Right.
This is Lamberth's way.
Correct.
We're just collecting data.
Right.
So we've talked about this bill throughout our podcast.
Right. So where we are at this moment is Bo Watson, the senator, wants to hold the bill as it is, which would not allow children who are immigrants to be in the school unless they can prove their citizenship. What Lamberth did was say, okay, we're not going to do that because we'll lose federal dollars the way the Department of Education still has money flow into the state in the moment. Will change. But we will instead just collect data on every one of these families. So it makes every teacher an immigration agent, right? But it's clogged down because you have Republicans who are running. Do they really run on a data bill? And we keep saying, you're worried about ICE agents being doxxed. You're doxing immigrant children right now. Like, it's the same thing. But anyway, so there's that conflict going on, and they're having to come to some agreement around that. In the meantime, right? And that's a little clogged up. So in the meantime, here we have this bill that you mentioned, 2535. So the voucher bill is going... 2532. So there is the conversation
expansion
that's going on about the voucher expansion, right? And the governor wanted to go from 20,000 to 40,000. Well, the governor, the way they got it passed last year...
Let me say this. He wants to go from awarding 20,000 scholarships to 40,000 scholarships?
Okay, we're not going to call them scholarships.
I know.
Those are
his
vouchers.
Words.
I will not use his words.
Excuse me. Okay, let's not. But he's saying 20,000 vouchers, coupons, to 40,000 coupons.
Correct. That's
Okay.
what his ask was, which we know have mostly gone to students have already been going to private
Right.
school.
Coupons.
Right? Coupons. I'm going to call them vouchers because that's what they are. They don't like that language, but that's
Okay.
what it is.
Good to know.
Yes. So they want to go to 40. And in these negotiations going back and forth, because some of the Republicans, even in the Senate, particularly Hensley, said this last week, wait a minute. You said originally when we got, you meaning the administration, wanted to get this bill passed that it would grow by 5,000 a year, not double it in a year. So now what we find out on Wednesday in the Chalkbeat article I referenced in my Substack, that this is the negotiation, that the administration will come down to 35,000. So from 20 to 35 instead of 20 to 40. But the hook in an amendment is that the schools will have to go ahead and do the data collection.
The public schools.
The public schools. And if they do not, they will lose their match for those children. Now, let me explain this. What's happened is when they set the voucher program up last year, they had this clause that was called hold harmless. What that meant is if a child left the public school and went over to a voucher school, which are mostly private and Christian, they went over to one of those schools, right? The public school wouldn't lose its money, would not lose the money that came to it for that child for that year. What they're doing now is saying, no, you will lose that money if you do not collect the data on the immigration status of those children. So they are doubling down, using children as a weapon to get what they want, so which is an increase in their vouchers, which is data on all these folks. And I presume it goes back to this other bill to make Bo Watson, the senator, happy. They're going to get something to have Lamberth be pretty happy about. Okay, well, we're going to get the data we want. And we know that that data is going to be used to target immigrant families in this state. And all you have to do is just take a moment and think about the question about birthright citizenship, right? Everybody was like, oh my gosh, that's not going to happen here. Well, that also at the federal level is the conversation. And at the federal level, the other part of the conversation is closing the Department of Education and turning everything over to the states. So you're going to have the Republican supermajority making these kinds of decisions, and they'll have full freedom to do it because they're not going to be constrained by the rules at the federal level that have to do with you can't discriminate. You have to provide schooling to people with disabilities, right? I mean, there's a whole slew of protections at the federal level that won't be there if the state fully takes over control of education. And this is a bell that's being rung to show us what these Republicans will do to get what they want, which is to destroy public education, to have it be all Christian schools and private schools out there. For profit.
Privatized.
Right. And there will probably be secondary schools that'll be out there. But I'm not sure that'll even be there. Maybe you have a choice. Christian school or pay for a full private school. So I'm sorry, I'm really
I love it
here. But I'm just telling you really, just watch closely what's going on and their willingness to use children. I mean, I'm not a big religious person, but this is Holy Week.
Michelle,
you sacrifice these babies at the altar of money. That is what they're talking about.
We sacrificed when we didn't do anything after Sandy Hook, when we watched these children die in Gaza, when we haven't done anything about the Epstein files, we time and time again show it's not about children.
And that party, all they talk about, right?
It's not about children.
All they talk about are children, parents' rights, and children and Jesus. I'm like, you're going to love this story.
Here we go.
I'm going to
do
our
one quick story. Our canary in the coal mine here has got a story.
So it is a quick story. So I go into one of the Senate meetings. I can't remember which one it is, committee meeting. And there's Senator Crow sitting. And there's a whole, if you follow my Substack, you'll see a picture of the Hispanic children. They were like 7 and 8 year olds. And they were sitting across because they were going to be talking about, they were waiting to hear the bill. It did not get heard. That was the thing. They were waiting for Senator Watson to bring his bill forward we thought there might be a compromise. We know what was going on. These children are there. And I'm like, they're all looking at these children, how can they like even think about passing this bill, right? So Senator Crow sits down. No, Senator Crow was sitting on to the right of them in the front row where the senators sit. So I came and I sat behind him, and I was like, I'd already taken a picture of the children, and I was like, oh my goodness, how could any legislator look at these children and talk about trying to pass a bill that would harm them so badly? And they talk about it like this is what Jesus would do. No, absolutely not what Jesus would do. Well, of course, he moved. I don't care. I'm like at this point where I don't care. You have to hear the impact and the way we're seeing what you're doing. So folks, please call all of these guys, mostly guys, also women.
Yeah.
And call them off.
Yeah.
Leave the babies
bad.
alone.
I really can't believe the way in which they're getting what they want.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course I can believe it, but that they're inserting this, I don't know, the cleverness of the cruelty is like confounding. Meanwhile, they refuse to give us any data on who's taking these vouchers. So there was a wonderful like meme sort of style clip of Lamberth basically like two-faced, I don't care about data. And yes, we need the data. I mean, it's just wild, the hypocrisy. Mm-hmm. That's just on display there constantly.
You absolutely cannot have they talk about doxing, right? The ICE agents, right? That, oh my gosh, they have to wear masks and they have to not be able to see their names because they're being doxed. Well, let's talk about doxing children.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Let's just really say what
this is really, and whole families really. It's not just, it's like you said, it's getting to the children, which opens the door to then get to parents and things. Well, I mean, you are just a light, just a lit up, fiery. Love it. Michelle said she's going to just get pins made that just say bitch, just so everybody just knows.
And I'm going to hand them out. You want one of the bitch? So that when you come up, we also got kind of stalked right in the meeting room by a guy. I wouldn't even go into that story. It was too much. But he ended up walking back and forth like he was going to threaten us, or like we were going to be intimidated by this guy. He is a well-paid lobbyist, and like got right up in my face, and I'm like, I got
not six
brothers.
Today.
I thought, what the heck? I should just wear a pin that says bitch, and then you want to take me on? You can take me on, but it's a warning.
Well, I wanted to thank you for giving us that, breaking down that so eloquently. And also it's in the Substack if you want to read her Substack. And she references the Chalkbeat article, which breaks this down even further. I will say that 3:30 p.m. on April 7th is when we're going to hear, it's Tuesday, when we're going to hear this amendment to the voucher bill in the Finance, Ways and Means Committee. And they are holding the hold harmless money hostage is basically what we're talking about.
It's very clear. Like, so your phone calls, and call them at late. Don't you have to call them and talk to somebody. Just call off hours. Call Easter Sunday when you get a minute and just go, stop hurting the children. We see what you're doing. Stop it. Leave them alone.
Well, what I wanted to segue into my little firecracker was this really...
This girl was not there this week. I missed her terribly.
I know, and I'm feeling it.
Sister Ingrid was there. Pastor Ingrid. Pastor Ingrid.
And in addition to so many other people.
Yes,
I saw
true.
Joe had done some more testifying.
Yeah, Joe is incredible. Macy testified.
Great.
Yeah.
All of our
Ashley was showing up, and they didn't call on Ashley, and Ashley was like, "You didn't call on me for my..." So we all got...
We love it.
Yeah. The pastors were yelling at them.
It's good. I saw
we all laughed.
Yeah. Oh, my people. Anyway, but I wasn't there, but you sent me a video of little bully Bolso. I got my blood pressure up just watching it here at home. He was arguing in support of his Charlie Kirk bill, as it's commonly referred to, which he says will open the door to free speech on college campuses. And what everybody else really sees it for is invitation for more hate. But there was a really awful, racist-laden, absolutely complete. He's just upholding racism in every statement he made. to Representative Sam McKenzie, who happens to be a black man. And so anyway, I don't know if you want to kind of give us a recap briefly of what that was.
I don't really want to repeat any of what he said. You want to go to my Substack, it's there. I wanted people to see it. But I think the thing about it, maybe this encapsulate, he said, not exact quote, but he said that Supreme Court Justice Jackson was a DEI hire, and that she did not have the qualifications to be a Supreme Court justice, and she was hired only because...
The racist trope. I can't even...
Only because of her race. And McKenzie, just cut right into it. Just cut right into it. But the challenge is, the white people in that room sat there and said nothing. Not only the people that were on the committee, but leaving it to the African American person to take on the white guy that is just espousing, not to get in the way of McKenzie, and they moved on. They called the question boom. There was going to be no more conversation. And I'm not saying you stand up and walk out. I'm not saying any of that. I can't tell legislators what to do, because there were more bills that were going to be coming up, and they did want to have their say and do their best. But there's white people in that audience that sat there and said, and I realize you're lobbyists and you're getting paid and all that. We're these unpaid protesters that are there. They do have a bill about protesters getting paid, but I couldn't contain myself. I wouldn't contain myself. I got my stuff. I went to walk out, and I saw this one sergeant at arms that we see all the time, and he's African American. He was standing in the back of the room, and I turned around and I said to everybody, we cannot let this language go on. Sir, I apologize to you for the language of this white person and for all of us as white people to be sitting there and not saying something. So it's a little bit of my toot, toot, toot. No, actually, I do have my whistle. This is my whistle. I won't do it too loud.
That's good.
We have got, white people, we've got to stand in this, right? If you have money, you have to stand in where they're coming down on people with few resources. If you've got great mental health going on, if you don't have a child with a disability, while they're coming down and forcing children with disabilities into holding tanks, there's so much that's going on that's so bad. Just pick one and make some phone calls and say, done and done, you people are done. And get out to vote, please. There are a lot of people running. Yeah. We've got to vote these people out, and we've got to show up when they go to public meetings and challenge them on their racist, holding Christianity hostage to their racism. Yeah. That's what they're doing. Sorry, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that.
Right.
And someone said to me that Jesus was led the first No Kings rally on Palm Sunday.
I heard that too.
Was that wonderful?
I really like that.
I love it. Lay off the Jesus stuff. Do right by the children. Let the money flow where it needs to be, and stop picking on the most honorable people. Yeah. This is what the Nazis did. It's a perfect, and we're repeating what happened during the time of Jim Crow era.
Right. I think that's
absolutely. It's a playbook.
I wonder if that's why people feel so laissez-faire in terms of what's happening, as if we've been here before. I don't know. The lack of involvement is just kind of astounding around these parts, right? It's disappointing.
But I do think people must be making phone calls, and what you're saying must be getting through.
Right.
Because
I don't want to take away from people that are, of course, 100%.
But we need more. No Kings Rally people, make those phone calls. If everybody made one phone call to 5 different legislators and say, this is...
We are just held hostage by the supermajority. We really are. And we will be until we make a change in who we're voting for. Which I think, when session ends, Michelle, we've talked about, I think we can really lean into highlighting some candidacy and talking to some candidates and really getting to know some people that are running for some of these smaller seats, because we have got to start flipping Tennessee back.
Yes.
something more balanced, if nothing else.
True. And if, Bang can, in Scott County, I think the difference was 11 points. She shifted, things from Republican to Democratic, and that's a very, I think it's the reddest county in the state, went 90% for Trump. So anywhere where we can make these shifts is so
Gosh,
important.
I mean, it makes me wish that she was running for that seat again, because especially again after this week, Scott County being sold out to the highest bidder for development of a landfill, basically. I mean, those residents.
Not toxic uranium. Yeah, this is nuclear. We're going to be the nuclear waste dump
for
the country. That's the plan. Yes. And picking the poorest mountain region of East Tennessee, the poorest area, and that's where they're going to dump all this stuff. It's a horror.
And I know that county. I know residents. There were some residents who were showing up who are obviously just completely aghast that this is happening. So
incredible. Yeah.
Anyway, maybe there's room to shift that seat.
Maybe.
Now.
Do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And follow Marsha Blackburn around and go, no, gal, no. Yeah. You're not talking for us. Like Bolso, like he's running. This man from Williamson County is running again. Show up everywhere he is and go, what the heck? Yeah. Charlie Kirk was a racist, misogynistic, nationalistic
bully.
He bullied people terribly. Sorry.
For not dollars, for clicks, for content, and made millions doing it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share with the people this week? My little canary in the coal mine. I love it.
You're so good.
So good.
Oh, folks, do not get discouraged. We have got to have hope, and we have to. And just one other thing, like these children that are being targeted, their classmates who are your children are traumatized by what is being done to their classmates. Mm-hmm. And the trauma those young people are bringing into the classroom because what's happening to their parents. There is snatching. We won't even go into all the snatching that's been going on this round. We'll do that another
it is happening now.
It's terrible.
It's happening here.
It is constant.
People need to know it's happening in Tennessee.
The young man who jumped, ICE was coming after him, and he jumped 2 stories and broke bones and ended up at St. Thomas Hospital. St. Thomas, there was not a warrant on that young man. St. Thomas Hospital let ICE agents come in there, would not let him see. His lawyers would not let the pastoral councils come in and counselors come in and talk to him. Sorry, St. Thomas in Rutherford County. This, again, is Holy Week for those of you who are Catholic and who strongly follow this faith. This is not this faith in action.
Right. No, it's not.
No, it's not. Sorry. Ugly, ugly.
Very. Thank you for being present this week. For those of us who couldn't make it,
thank you for being back.
So grateful.
We're all grateful.
Well, and thank you so much for following along. And we get such lovely feedback. We'd take more if we're missing something, if we need to do something else.
And share us, because sometimes we can take the hit because we're on the video, for folks who you want to talk to. I mean, the tent is wide open. Anybody who's disgusted with MAGA and these policies, doesn't matter whether you have an R or a D behind your name, you are welcome to join the forces of people who are like, this is beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Nazi Germany, it wasn't about a party. It was about the acts of the administration in the name of what they said were the people. It's not in the name of the people that I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Be well.
Be well.
Take care of your hearts. Yes.
Protect your hearts.
Yeah.
Take a moment. It's Easter. Take a moment with your family.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.